Most men over 40 assume that what they're experiencing is just age. They accept the slowdown. They stop asking questions. They tell themselves it's normal. But here's the truth. What most men are calling getting older is actually something very specific happening inside the body. And the fact that almost no one explains it clearly is exactly why so many men feel stuck. If you've ever felt like your energy, your confidence, or your performance just isn't what it used to be, this video is for you. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to understand something that most men never learn. And one simple habit may influence this more than most men realize. Let's start with something honest. If you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, there's a good chance you've noticed changes. Maybe it started small. You'd wake up and not feel fully rested, even after a full night of sleep. Maybe you noticed that your drive, that inner push you used to feel, had gone quiet. Or maybe there were moments with your partner where things didn't go the way you wanted, and instead of talking about it, you just moved on. You told yourself it was stress, work, life. But somewhere in the back of your mind, a question stayed with you. Is this just who I am now? That feeling, that quiet uncertainty, is one of the most common things men in this age group experience. And it's not weakness, it's biology. But here's what most men never realize. The biology behind it is more specific than most people think. And once you understand it, things start to make a lot more sense. So let's talk about what's actually happening. Inside your body right now, there's a system that controls how blood moves, how it flows, how it reaches every part of you. This system depends on a molecule that researchers have been studying for decades. It's called nitric oxide. And for most men over 40, the production of this molecule begins to decline, slowly, quietly, without any obvious warning signs at first. Nitric oxide is produced in the walls of your blood vessels. Its job is to help those vessels relax and expand. When nitric oxide levels are healthy, blood flows freely. Circulation is strong. Your body gets what it needs when it needs it. But when production drops, and for many men it begins dropping significantly after 40, that flow becomes restricted. The vessels don't expand as easily. Blood doesn't move as efficiently, and the effects of that show up in ways that most men never connect to circulation. Here's where things start to get interesting. Researchers have noticed something that many men find surprising when they first hear it. The changes in performance, energy, and confidence that men experience in midlife are often not separate problems. They're connected. They share a common thread. And that thread runs directly through the cardiovascular system, through circulation, through blood flow. Think about it this way. Your body is like a city, and your blood vessels are the roads. When those roads are wide open, traffic moves. Everything gets where it needs to go: fuel, oxygen, signals. But when those roads start to narrow, traffic slows. Things back up. Some destinations don't get what they need, and the city starts to feel different, slower, less responsive, less alive. That's not a metaphor for weakness. That's just how the system works, and understanding the system is the first step to supporting it. Now, most men don't connect these dots because no one ever lays it out this simply. They go to their doctor and hear that everything is within normal range. They search online and get overwhelmed. They try one thing, don't see immediate results, and give up. And the months keep passing, and the feeling of distance from who they used to be grows a little wider every year. Over time, that gap has consequences, not just physically, emotionally. A man who doesn't feel vital starts to pull back. He becomes less present in his relationships, less confident in social situations. He may stop initiating, stop pursuing things that used to excite him, and the people around him notice, even if no one says anything directly. That silence, that invisible withdrawal, is one of the most underreported effects of declining circulation in men. But here's something most men completely overlook. The body has a remarkable capacity to respond to support. Not overnight, not with a single dramatic change, but consistently over time, with the right inputs, the system can be encouraged back toward balance. And researchers studying vascular health in men have identified specific compounds that appear to play a meaningful role in that process. These are not exotic chemicals. They're not synthetic drugs. They're naturally occurring amino acids and plant-based compounds that the body already knows how to use, it just needs enough of them. The first one worth understanding is L-citrulline. This is an amino acid found naturally in certain foods, watermelon being the most well-known source. But here's what makes it particularly interesting. When L-citrulline enters the body, it gets converted into another amino acid called L-arginine. And L-arginine is one of the primary building blocks the body uses to produce nitric oxide. So when you support L-citrulline intake, you're essentially giving your body more material to work with when it comes to producing that critical molecule. And remember that molecule we mentioned earlier, nitric oxide, the one that helps blood vessels relax and expand. This is exactly why L-citrulline has attracted so much attention in research on vascular health and male performance. It's not acting directly on any organ, it's working upstream. It's supporting the system that delivers what every part of the body needs. Now, some men wonder, what about L-arginine directly? Why not just take that instead? And that's a fair question. The answer comes down to absorption. When L-arginine is taken directly, a significant portion of it gets broken down in the digestive system before it can be used. L-citrulline, on the other hand, bypasses that process more efficiently. It arrives in the bloodstream intact. Then it converts. That's why researchers and nutrition scientists have increasingly focused on L-citrulline as the more effective delivery route for supporting nitric oxide production. There's another compound that has been studied extensively in the context of male vitality, Panax ginseng. This is one of the most researched botanical compounds in the world. It has been used in traditional medicine across Asia for thousands of years. But what modern researchers have found is that it appears to support circulation, energy levels, and vascular function through several different mechanisms. Some researchers suggest it may support the body's ability to manage oxidative stress, which is essentially cellular wear and tear that accumulates over time. Others have observed that it may help support hormonal balance in ways that contribute to sustained energy and mental clarity. What's interesting about Panax ginseng is that its effects tend to be gradual and cumulative. Men who use it consistently over weeks and months often report a sense of steadiness, not a sudden burst of energy, but a more reliable baseline. More consistent mornings, more sustained focus during the day, a quieter kind of strength that builds over time. And this is where things start to get really practical. Because one of the most common questions men ask when they learn about these compounds is, can't I just eat better and get what I need from food? And the honest answer is, sometimes, yes. But for most men over 40, the realistic answer is more complicated. First, the amounts of L-citrulline found in food, even in watermelon, which has the highest concentration, are relatively small compared to the amounts studied in research settings. You'd need to consume unrealistic quantities of certain foods on a daily basis to approach those levels. Second, as the body ages, its ability to absorb and utilize certain nutrients changes. The digestive system becomes less efficient. The conversion processes slow down. What worked at 25 doesn't always translate at 45 or 55. Third, and this is something most men don't think about, modern life itself creates conditions that deplete these compounds faster. Chronic stress raises cortisol. Disrupted sleep affects recovery. Sedentary work reduces cardiovascular efficiency. All of these factors put pressure on the very systems that produce and maintain nitric oxide. So what does this mean practically? It means that for many men in this age group, getting consistent, meaningful support for nitric oxide production may require more than dietary changes alone. It may require targeted nutritional support, the kind that delivers the right compounds and forms the body can actually use at levels that make a real difference. This isn't about replacing healthy habits. Sleep still matters. Movement still matters. Managing stress still matters. These are the foundation. But for men who are already doing those things, or who are trying to and still feeling like something is off, targeted nutritional support can be a meaningful addition to that foundation. Not a shortcut, not a cure, a support system, working with the body's natural processes, not around them. Now here's something worth pausing on. The reason most men don't know any of this isn't because the information is hidden. It's because no one presents it in a way that connects the dots. You hear nitric oxide in one place. You hear circulation somewhere else. You see an ad for a supplement, but have no idea what it actually does or why. And without the full picture, it's almost impossible to make informed decisions. That's what this channel is built around. Not selling you a solution, explaining the biology so you can understand your own body better. Because a man who understands what's happening and why is in a fundamentally different position than a man who's just guessing. He can make choices that are actually aligned with how his body works, and those choices, made consistently, compound over time in ways that can genuinely change how a man feels day to day. Think about what it would mean to wake up with more consistent energy, to feel less like you're managing a slow decline and more like you're actively supporting your own vitality, to show up in your relationship with more presence and confidence, to feel like the gap between who you are now and who you used to be is getting smaller instead of wider. These aren't fantasies. They're outcomes that are biologically grounded, connected to real processes happening in real vessels in your actual body, and those processes can be supported meaningfully, naturally. The shift doesn't happen overnight. That's worth saying clearly. Any honest conversation about supporting vascular health has to acknowledge that the body works on its own timeline. Nitric oxide production doesn't bounce back in a weekend. The changes that happen over years don't reverse in days, but they can shift over weeks, over months, with consistent, informed support. And that consistency is something a lot of men struggle with, not because of a lack of willpower, but because they've tried things that didn't work and lost confidence in the process. If that's you, that skepticism is healthy. It means you've been paying attention. It means you're not willing to believe in magic fixes. Good, because what we're talking about here is not magic. It's biochemistry. It's giving a system what it needs to function the way it was designed to function. For men who want to explore a natural way to support this process, there's a resource available in the description below. It covers what to look for when evaluating nutritional support for circulation and vascular health, the compounds, the forms, the quality markers. No pressure, no sales pitch, just information for the men who want to go deeper. But before you go anywhere, let's close with something important. Because information is only valuable if it leads to action. And the most powerful action you can take right now is not a purchase. It's a decision. A decision to stop accepting the slow decline as inevitable. A decision to start understanding your own biology. A decision to take your health seriously, not out of fear, but out of respect for the life you're still living and the man you still are. You are not too old to feel strong. You are not too far gone to feel vital. The body is responsive. It listens to what you give it. And when you give it what it needs consistently, with patience and intention, it can surprise you with what it's still capable of. That quiet confidence, that sense of showing up fully, that feeling of being present in your own life, not watching from the sidelines. That's not just possible. For men who understand their biology and support it with intention, it's the expected outcome, not guaranteed, but absolutely within reach. And it starts with understanding, with asking better questions, with refusing to accept this is just how it is as the final answer. You found this video for a reason. Something in you is still looking for that answer. That matters. That drive, even when it feels quiet, is still there, and it's worth listening to. If you found this helpful, and this video gave you a new perspective on your health, subscribe for daily content on men's vitality after 40. Drop a comment below. What's the one change you're going to make first? And if you know a man who needs to hear this, share this video with him.